Welcome to the Stoic Station channel. I'm going to talk to you about 5 stages when your ex regrets the breakup. But before we get into that, I want to make something clear. This isn't about holding on to false hope, and it's not about playing emotional chess to get someone back. This is about understanding the psychology of regret, the hidden dynamics that unfold after someone walks away, and most importantly, how you respond when they do. Breakups leave a lot of questions. Did they ever really care? Will they realize what they lost? Will they come back? But underneath those questions lies a more important one. What will you do with your peace while they wrestle with their doubt? On Stoic Station, we're not here to chase anyone or wait in the shadows of someone else's indecision. We're here to stand still, to stand strong, and to understand what's happening without losing ourselves in the process. Because each stage of their regret is not just about them, it's a mirror showing you where you still need healing, boundaries, and clarity. So as I walk you through these 5 stages, I invite you to listen not just for signs from them, but for signs of your own growth. Because the most powerful thing you can do is not prove you're still worthy of their love, but to prove to yourself that your worth was never up for debate. Let's begin. Stage number 1. They don't like the doubt. At first, what unsettles them isn't heartbreak, it's the silence. The stillness you now carry, the space you've created by stepping back, becomes more powerful than any word you could have spoken. Doubt starts to creep in, not just about the breakup, but about the image they once had of you. They begin to wonder, what if he's okay without me? What if I wasn't as important as I thought I was? And most haunting of all, what if I made a mistake? This uncertainty strikes deeper than they anticipated because it touches their ego. Everyone wants to believe they're hard to forget, that if they walk away, the other person will wait, will chase, will struggle. But you didn't. Instead, you chose quiet over chaos, stillness over pleading. You didn't announce your strength, you simply lived it. You didn't broadcast your healing, you embodied it. And that's when the power dynamic shifted. You became emotionally unavailable, not as a tactic, but as a reflection of self-respect. And in doing so, you held up a mirror to them, one that reflected their own insecurities, fears, and regrets. They expected you to crumble, but you evolved. They anticipated tears, but you chose growth. And now that calm presence of yours, the one they can't read, can't control, can't access, begins to speak volumes. Your absence, once underestimated, becomes a presence they can't ignore. And what they're truly afraid of isn't losing you. It's realizing that maybe, just maybe, you found peace without them. This is the stage where their regret quietly takes root. Not because you told them anything, but because your silence told them everything. This is your moment to stop seeking closure from someone who couldn't give it and to begin offering it to yourself. Take time to journal what you're grateful for, not what you've lost. Reflect on the man you're becoming, not just in reaction to the breakup, but in response to a deeper calling within. The very things you're discovering now, your resilience, your clarity, your grounded strength, are exactly what they're starting to feel slipping away. Because while they sit in doubt, you are rising in certainty, and that difference becomes impossible to ignore. Stage number 2, they want you to bail them out. There comes a moment, quiet, subtle, when the silence you've held with such grace begins to echo, not just in the space between you, but within them. At first they may have welcomed the distance. They told themselves it was the right decision, convinced themselves that separation would bring clarity. But clarity can be a mirror, and sometimes what they see staring back isn't peace, it's absence. Not just yours, but the absence of something deeper, validation. So they reach out, but not always with the intention to return. Often, they're not offering their heart at all. What they truly seek in that moment is relief from doubt, from fear, from the slow realization that you might be moving on without them. They drop emotional breadcrumbs. I miss you. I wish things were different. They carefully word their messages, vague enough to protect themselves, but tender enough to stir your emotions. If you're not grounded, it can feel like hope. But if you look closely, it's not love reaching for you. It's ego. It's fear dressed in nostalgia. Because deep down, they want to know they're still desired, that they still hold space in your heart, that even though they were the one who walked away, they are still the one you think about at night. They want the reassurance that your world hasn't completely realigned without them, that they remain unforgettable. It's not inherently malicious, it's human. We all crave to be remembered, to feel irreplaceable. But here's the truth. You don't owe them your vulnerability on demand, especially not now, when you've worked so hard to rebuild your peace, to reclaim your center. This is the stage where many people fall into the trap, mistaking contact for connection, mistaking uncertainty for change. They interpret those tender words as signs that their ex wants to come back, but in reality, it's often a self-soothing act on their part, a way to check if the door is still open, without ever truly stepping through it. You have to recognize the difference between someone reaching out because they miss you and someone reaching out because they miss being missed. The former is about connection, the latter is about control. So what do you do? This is where you practice what I call the mirror technique. Reflect back calmness, not desperation. Let your words carry dignity, not longing. If they text you, reply with kindness, but let your tone remain neutral. Say, "It's good to hear from you. I hope you're well." Simple, director, respectful, but not emotionally surrendering. You are not here to reignite a fantasy. You are here to protect your progress. What this does is powerful. It sends a message, not one of cruelty or coldness, but of quiet strength. You're not ignoring them, but you're also not giving them the emotional safety net they're subconsciously hoping for. You're showing them that your value is no longer tied to their recognition of it, that your peace doesn't depend on their proximity. And in that you reclaim control, not of them, but of yourself. The silence you once offered was space. Now, your response offers clarity. You are not the same person who once would have begged for their attention. You are no longer seeking closure in their confusion. You've stopped trying to prove your worth to someone who needed to leave to see it. They may try again. They may send more mixed signals, hoping for a deeper reaction. But your job isn't to decode their confusion. It's to protect your clarity. Let them sit in the silence they created. Let them feel the weight of the doubt they never thought they'd have. And when they come searching for comfort, let your calm be the only thing they find. Because that's how dignity speaks, quietly, clearly, unapologetically. Stage number 3. They enter a rebound. This stage is often misunderstood. On the surface, it may not look like regret at all. In fact, it might seem like the opposite. You hear they've started dating someone new, maybe just weeks after the breakup, and part of you wonders if they ever truly cared. It stings. It feels sudden, careless, even cruel. But what you're seeing isn't healing, it's avoidance. They haven't moved on because they've grown. They've moved on because they don't want to be alone with themselves. Solitude has a way of surfacing the very truths they're not ready to face. The loss of control, the absence of your presence, the hollow space where your connection used to live. Instead of sitting in that discomfort, they run, straight into the arms of someone who doesn't remind them of anything too real, someone who doesn't challenge them to reflect or grow. Rebounds, in most cases, are not about romance. They are emotional detours, temporary highs designed to distract from a much deeper ache, one they might not even admit to feeling. But here's what's quietly powerful about this stage. If you remain still, if you hold your ground, if you continue to live with intention and grace rather than reaction, the contrast becomes undeniable. Because no one else will feel as solid, as grounded, as genuine as the version of you who walked away, not bitterly, not resentfully, but with quiet power. While they chase novelty, you've chosen depth. While they fill time, you've been building meaning. And even if they don't say it out loud, even if they pretend everything's fine, part of them begins to feel it. That emptiness, that echo, that quiet comparison they didn't expect to make. This is not the moment to try to prove anything. Don't monitor their new relationship. Don't obsess over their choices. Instead, shift your energy inward. Reconnect with what roots you. Dive into the parts of yourself that may have been neglected while you were holding on to something that no longer held you. Explore nature. Move your body. Create. Serve. Building. You are not in limbo. You are in renewal. It's tempting to believe their rebound is a reflection of your inadequacy, but it's not. It's a reflection of their discomfort with the stillness that you've already learned to embrace. And while they may be chasing chemistry, you're cultivating character. While they're running from the silence, you've made peace with it. That's a different kind of strength, a quiet, unwavering strength that doesn't shout but speaks. Eventually, the noise of their distraction will fade, and if that connection was built on anything shallow, it will crack under the weight of what's unresolved. But you, who chose healing over hiding, stillness over stimulation, you will not be in the same place they left you. You'll have outgrown the space where they once held your heart. Not out of spite, but because you finally made room for yourself. That is what they feel slipping away. Not just you, but the chance to return to someone who waited. Because you didn't wait, you moved forward, and that, in time, is what makes all the difference. Stage number 4. They come back too quickly. There's a moment that catches you off guard. After all the silence, the wondering, the letting go, you get a message or a phone call. Maybe they show up in person, eyes softer than you remembered, voice lower, words wrapped in regret. They say they're sorry, that they've thought about everything, that they've had a change of heart. And just like that, your pulse quickens. You think, this is it. They finally see what they lost. They're ready to come home. But what often feels like clarity is sometimes just relief. Not yours, theirs. Because when someone returns too quickly, without time to truly reflect, what they're seeking is comfort, not transformation. They miss the familiarity, the emotional safety, the part of you that made them feel known and accepted. But returning isn't the same as rebuilding. And unless they've done the deep internal work, the kind that involves humility, accountability, and emotional maturity, they're not coming back to create something new. They're coming back to recreate what was. And what starts that fast tends to fall apart just as quickly. The initial euphoria of reunion can feel intoxicating. The joy of hearing their voice, feeling their arms around you again, remembering the good times, it hits hard. But beneath that high lies the same cracks, the same emotional gaps, the same misalignments that led to the breakup in the first place. Only now, those patterns are disguised in hope. And hope, without honesty, becomes illusion. This is why many people who reconcile too soon find themselves spiraling again weeks or even days later. The very thing they were so desperate to recover becomes the very thing that drains them all over again. And worse, the second breakup often hurts more, because it feels like betrayal layered on top of revival. But this time, you've grown. You've seen what happens when you abandon your own healing for the sake of emotional rescue, and you're not that version of yourself anymore. So if they return and they haven't done the hard work, don't rush to make it right. Instead, offer a path forward, not a jump backward. Say something that honors your growth and protects your peace. Let's take it slow. We both deserve something stronger, not just something familiar. You're not being cold, you're being wise. This kind of response may unsettle them. They might expect you to leap back with open arms, to celebrate the reunion with blind optimism, but your restraint, your calm, clear boundaries will speak volumes, not as punishment, but as a sign of self-respect. Because love that's rushed is rarely love that lasts, and if they truly mean it this time, they'll walk with you, not run past you. They'll show, not just say. And if they don't, then at least you honored the version of you that fought to become whole again. That version deserves more than a rewind. It deserves a restart, a real one, grounded, slow, intentional, and above all, built on truth. Stage number 5, they offer friendship. When someone isn't ready to choose you, but isn't ready to fully lose you either, they often extend what seems like a lifeline, friendship. It sounds noble, thoughtful, even mature. They frame it as a way to preserve the connection, to keep something meaningful alive between the two of you. And for a moment it feels comforting, familiar, safe. But look closer. More often than not, what they're really offering is emotional insurance. It's a way to stay close enough to feel your presence without committing to rebuild what was lost. They still want access to your affection, your attention, your time, just not the responsibility of your heart. It's not that they're ready to step fully back into your life. It's that they're afraid you might leave theirs completely. In their mind, this friendship becomes a bridge, a tether. They can check in, ask how you're doing, see who you're spending time with. And in return, they get to feel desired, wanted, significant. They get to know you haven't moved on, even if they're not sure they want to return. It's not always calculated, but it is self-serving. And while it may not be obvious at first, slowly, the imbalance begins to show. You're still emotionally available, still hoping, even if you don't say it out loud. You show up when they need someone to talk to. You listen to stories about their life, even when it stings. You keep your heart open just in case they change their mind. But friendship shouldn't feel like waiting. It shouldn't feel like performing loyalty while they stay undecided. A true friendship between exes is only possible when both hearts have healed and the desire to stay connected comes from mutual peace, not silent longing. This is where your strength needs to be clear but kind. You don't need to respond with anger or coldness. You simply set a boundary that honors your emotional well-being. You say, "I care about you, but friendship won't serve me right now." That's not rejection. That's self-respect in action. You're not closing the door out of spite. You're closing it to preserve your growth, your clarity, your heart. If they truly value you, they'll understand. And if they don't, then you've just learned something even more important. You don't exist to fill someone's emotional gaps. You exist to live a full, honest life, without being put on hold by someone still deciding whether to let you in or let you go. Let friendship be a gift freely chosen, not a placeholder for love they're unwilling to give. Final reflection. Regret doesn't always announce itself. It rarely arrives with apologies or grand gestures. Often, it hides in the silence between messages, in the delayed responses, in the way they linger just long enough to be felt, but not fully seen. Sometimes it's deliberate. Sometimes it's unconscious, but it's there, a quiet tension that lingers in their actions, not their words. Still, your role is not to decode their behavior or analyze every subtle shift in tone. That's a trap that keeps you looking outward when your healing begins within. Your true work is to lead yourself back to wholeness, not as a reaction to what they did, but as a commitment to who you are becoming. Each stage they go through isn't a measure of their love, it's a mirror for your strength. The more you root yourself in peace, the more you step into your own clarity and power, the less you are shaken by their uncertainty. You stop asking what they feel and start asking what you deserve. You don't win someone back by showcasing your pain or proving your loyalty to someone who let go. You rise, not in hopes of being noticed, but because peace is your new standard. It's not indifference, it's emotional maturity. It's choosing to stand firm in your worth, whether they regret leaving or not. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to make them look back. It's to make sure you never have to. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. If you've made it this far, it tells me something important. You're not here to play emotional games or chase after someone who walked away. You're here to rise, to understand yourself more deeply, to rebuild, not just what was broken, but what was never fully formed within. What I've shared with you today isn't about blame or bitterness, it's about clarity. Because when you can see each stage for what it truly is, not a sign of love returning, but a reflection of someone else's internal confusion, you begin to shift. You stop reacting. You stop waiting. You begin to lead your own life with quiet strength and grounded purpose. And in doing so, you become someone far more powerful than the person they left behind. You become someone even you can admire. This path isn't about getting them back. It's about getting yourself back. And maybe for the first time, truly knowing what it means to walk in your own peace without needing permission or proof from someone else. If this message spoke to something in you and you're ready to go deeper, to live with more intention and inner strength, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe to Stoic Station. This is where we strip away the noise, the confusion, and the emotional chaos, and we build something lasting from the inside out. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Stay grounded, stay strong, and as always, choose peace.